Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to show you how to change the oil on this 2009 ACURA MDX. So did you get a warning on your display saying service due soon, code A13 or A12? That's replace engine oil. I'm going to show you how to reset that code after we're done. Okay, so your hood release is right here. We're going to open up the hood. Your hood should have popped up, but you got one more latch. You got to lift this little latch, and then these rods should hold the hood up. So you want the engine warmed up, but you don't want it super hot. If it's super hot, let it cool down for a little bit, but you do want the engine oil nice and warm. Okay, let's talk about what we're going to need. We're going to need a 17mm socket, a ratchet. You're going to need a new oil filter, XG7317. Now, it might have a different number on the front, but you need the 7317 when you buy Fram. I like to use just these this is an oil filter plier wrench. I got a light. You're going to need about 2 or 3 rags that absorb oil. The engine manual calls for 5W20. I buy the 5 quart. It only takes 4.5, so you're going to be left over with a half a quart, which is okay. So we're going to add all this oil like right to there, and then we'll stop. We'll have a half a quart left in here. So whenever you change the filter and the oil all at once, it takes 4.5 quarts. I like Mobil 1 full synthetic. They have another kind that goes to 20,000 miles. They were out of it today, but I change my oil every 10,000 miles or once a year. You're going to need an oil pan, something to catch the oil. This is an oil drain container. I just bought this today. Pretty excited about it. Looks like the oil is going to drain into there. It's got a vent. And then when I want to dump the oil out, I'm going to use this to dump it out into a container to recycle it. Okay, so I pulled it in. Once I stopped it, I turned the wheel all the way to the right. I don't move the car or anything. I just got it nice and turned. That way I can reach in there. Look, right there is that's the oil filter. It is so easy to get to. I think I'm missing a piece of plastic, but that's how I bought this car used, and it's always been like that. But there's the oil filter, right? I do like to cut up an old box and put it down because it seems like I always make a mess on the floor. So that way it's on the cardboard and not the concrete. I really like these 7mm nitrate gloves. They're just really thick. They don't break as easy as the other ones. So I always wear these. Okay, so when you want to use this, you have to take this plug all the way off. You don't just merely loosen it. You're going to want to take it all the way off so the oil can flow in there nice and good. Okay, so we're going to go under the car on the left side here, and I'm going to show you where the oil drain plug is. Right there. That exhaust is really hot, so that's the exhaust. That's really hot, but right there's the drain plug right there. It's even like a little words that say engine drain, and it's right there on the back side. Okay, so we don't need an extension on it. Just a standard socket, 17mm. Okay, I've got the ratchet on it. Make sure you're loosening it. Okay, I'm going to try to get in there. Okay, so you're going to go that way with the ratchet. Once it's broke loose, you're going to have to get the oil pan ready and get a rag. This is inevitably messy. So get your rag ready. Yeah, there's just no good way of doing it. You got to take the bolt out and kind of keep the drip pan right there. Now it's going to shoot out at an angle that way, towards the back. So there's going to be a washer on the bolt. Make sure the washer comes off with the bolt, but it doesn't necessarily sometimes come. All right, so there. Now the oil is coming out. Okay, there's the oil coming out. It's going into the pan. It's not overflowing the pan, and you just got to let it go till it stops coming out. Okay, so there's the drain plug. It's got a crush washer. That's an aluminum crush washer. You don't have to change it each time, but if it's starting to get damaged or something, it might still be up on the car side too, and it might have dropped into your oil pan. So make sure you put it back on there, and then you're going to put this plug in when we're done. So I'm doing this without jacking the vehicle and without putting it on ramps. I just don't like doing that. You can squeeze down in here and get this without putting it on ramps. Okay, so there's still just a little trickle coming out. I go ahead and put it, it's a little messy. I mean, you can wait for another 10 minutes to let it stop. But I just go ahead and put it on with it just trickling just like that. Just get your rag and kind of wipe the bolt off as you're putting it in. It'll stop dripping, and then give it one last wipe and then put it, and then we'll tighten it down. Okay, so put your bolt back on and tighten it. Make sure it's really tight. Okay, I've got the oil pans positioned underneath it. It does kind of drain, and it will hit that frame and kind of run back a little bit. So you can put a towel right there, but it's not going to come just straight down. It does hit that frame right there. So be prepared. It's going to get that frame dirty and all that, but just grab your pliers. And you might be able to grab it with your hand and turn it, but I like to use the pliers. And I'm just reaching in here. It can be really hard to get off. And you may dent it in a little bit with these pliers. That's okay. Okay, so you get your pliers in here, and then you can just, there, it's turning. And once you get it down so far, oil will start to come out of it. And what I do is I loosen it up, let the oil finish flowing out of it, then spin it off all the way. Yeah, see, there's the oil. I just unspun it a little bit, let it finish kind of draining, and then I'll finish spinning it off. And then I can put the oil filter right on this pan here and let it finish drain, turned upside down. Okay, here I've got the old oil filter off. I want to show you something very important. There's a black O-ring. Make sure that O-ring came with the filter. If you don't see this O-ring right here, it could be stuck up there where it's not supposed to be, and that is really bad. Here's what the new oil filter, see, there's that black O-ring. Sometimes that can stay with the car. That's really bad. Your car will leak oil after that. So make sure it's off, or peel it off if it stayed with the vehicle. Okay, they want you to put a little bit of oil right on this O-ring. I just grab a little bit. Just a little bit. I just use the used oil. It's okay. You're just lubing this O-ring just a little bit. So I put a rag there to keep it from going on the frame, but I'm going to go wipe those threads and all that off really good. Okay, so there's where we're going to screw the oil filter on right there. Make sure that metal surface is nice and clean. And there's the frame. Again, put like a rag there because it does kind of drip down that frame. Okay, so I spun it on. It spins on really easy. There should be no forcing it when you first put it on. If it's not going real easy, then you've got it crossed or something. So it should just spin really easy. Yeah. So go down till it makes contact. Now we want to try to get one complete revolution. So the seal's making contact with the frame, with the engine. So kind of memorize this spot on it. We want to see if we can turn it by hand and get back to that same spot. Again, having grippy gloves on helps because you can grip it. I like the Fram filters. They've got that grip. Okay, I can get back to the spot, and that's where it gets tight. I go just a little bit more. Okay, there it is. I got one full revolution. And then after the filter drains, I like to put it in the old box. It kind of helps with the mess. Okay, so yeah, it did really well. Again, you got to take that red drain plug out. The oil drained right into it really quick. It didn't overflow even though it was coming out really fast. There's a natural slope to there. It's got a little ledge you can put the oil filter on, let it drain out. And when my bolt dropped, it didn't go into the oil. It stayed right here on the platform. Okay, so now we got to put some oil in it. Very important step, don't forget. There is the plug, or the cap. We got to, and sometimes that can be really hard to open up, so. Okay, so there's the cap off. It says 5W20. Now the hard part's getting a funnel down there. You got to get kind of a long funnel. Again, we'll wipe that off before we put it back in. So I found this 18-inch long neck funnel. Seems to do the trick. But you got to pour it in really slow. Be careful, because if you try to fill this up too fast, it will overflow and make a mess down there. So again, we're using a 5-quart container. 5-quart container, but we only need 4.5 quarts. So each one of that's a full quart right there. We want a half of one. So I'm just going to draw a line halfway in between. We're going to stop when the oil gets right there. This has a really nice glass on the side, or it's clear. You can see the oil go down. Okay, so let's pour our oil in. Again, don't go too fast. Just take it nice and slow. We don't want to make a mess. It's going in pretty good. And then what you got to do is you just got to set it down on a level surface and just keep checking as that oil comes down. Okay, so it looks like we got pretty close, yeah. Now we've got a half a quart. Now I can save this. If my engine needs oil at a later date, I can put it in there. Let the funnel drain. Make sure you got a rag. When you lift the funnel out, there will be a little bit on it. Okay, so wipe this down. It's got an O-ring. And then you're just going to put it on. It doesn't need to be super tight. And again, don't cross thread it. It should spin on there really easy. Mine is spinning on super easy. And then when it stops, just give it a little snug. Okay, it doesn't need to be super tight. Okay, we're in the car now. We got to reset the oil life. Put the key in. Don't start the engine. Just turn it to the on position. Turn it to the on position. All the instrument panel lights are going to light up. So you're going to hit this button here until it's blank. So see how it says trip computer, all-wheel drive, tire pressure, keyless memory, hands-free. So see how that top screen is blank and it says outside temperature? That's what you want. Now you're going to hit the select button. So before I was using this. Now I'm going to hit select. I'm going to change that outside temperature to oil life. Once I've got the oil life selected, I'm going to press and hold that same button. Okay, I'm pressing and holding it. It takes about 5 seconds. Okay, now it says oil life reset. I've got to use the arrow buttons now to go up there and hit reset. Okay, so I use the arrow button to hit reset. Now I got to select it. So now I'm going to press the select button. Now it says oil life 100%. Now since I change mine every 10,000 miles, that light comes on and I don't change the oil. I have to wait about till 50% again. So there's how you reset that code, and then that code should go away. Now we can go ahead and start the vehicle. Make sure your oil pressure light goes out, and it went out. See, it was right there. Take note of the mileage now. I've got 188,000 miles, 871. I'm going to write that down on a piece of paper, and then I'll change it again in 10,000 miles. So you can take your used oil now to a auto parts store. Most name brand auto parts stores will take used oil, and then you can just take it in this container and they'll give you the container back. But again, you may have to wipe the top off because the top is pretty messy. So thanks everybody for watching.